It's Sunday morning, and every decent man and woman is listening to Test Miles with Nick Miles on FM News 101 KXL. Buckle in.
Sunday morning again, and it's time to talk cars for the next 60 minutes of your weekly automotive experience. I'm Nick Miles, and you're listening to Portland's automotive radio show, Test Miles. Locally created, nationally celebrated, we have assembled our team of freaks at the station to enlighten you with witty banter, useful information, and fun automotive topics. That's just me. The rest of the team will just be here for effects. And our team in the studio it includes Oli, the Viking Volvo seller. Good morning.
Good morning.
You brought your wife, but then she disappeared.
She left.
Yeah.
She's somewhere.
I think she just came in to make sure that this is where you said you went every Sunday morning.
Maybe.
And now she's gone about her business.
Yeah, she's like, okay, this is a real place.
Yeah. I'm not just saying I'm going to a radio station
That's
that doesn't
right.
really exist for the next. Sean Walker, car and cat lover, is here. We were in L.A. yesterday.
We were.
Yeah.
Had a fun time down in Malibu.
And we drove the brand new Ford Mustang. We'll be talking about that on the show. And also the show's daddy is here, Brad Boyer. Good morning.
Good morning. How'd you like parking? It's the first of many of our cause walks, so
You mean
get here early.
Downstairs because of the race for the
race
cure.
for the cure, and then next week is something else, and then next week is something else.
Well, they've got a race for things because they don't cure things if they don't race. So I'm willing to give up my parking to cure cancer.
Let's race to sponsor our show. We need sponsors.
There'd be plenty of parking if that was the case there too. All right. We like to talk about this every week. We like to do a little bit of a recap of the news. How much do you know about what happened in the world of automotive this week? This is the part of the show where we tell you and tell the studio crew what happened in the show, in the news. The studio crew is tested on their knowledge of the automotive industry. It's called the News Quiz, and we'll start off with the first question. Who recalled 221,558 sedans for fire risk this week? Oli.
I got that one, Nick. That is GM, and I know that's hard to believe that they had to recall some cars. 221,000 sedans were recalled, and because of an issue with the electric parking brake, the arm does not fully release, hence it rides the brake, potentially catching on fire.
Right, and next they'll be pulling cars because the window switch has little sharp edges.
Yeah, who knows? We'll see. Wait for next week.
Yeah, next week there'll be another 221,000 recalls. Who could lay up for a quarter of their who could lay off up to a quarter of their employees? That's the best sound you could come up with, Sean.
Man,
I was busy writing stuff for the show, so come on, give me a break.
Oh wait,
Oops.
what was that? You were playing music now from your phone?
My phone does weird things.
After the show, Sean will be assembling a bunch of people to give lessons on how to use their cell phone.
I'll
All
charge
right,
for
Sean.
that.
So who's laying off? Who's laying off up to a quarter of their employees?
That'd be Lotus, but they're only laying off 325. You got to remember, Lotus is a small company, and they only employ up to 1,200 people. So that is pretty much a quarter of their company.
No, and they haven't been doing so well. I think they had a bunch of cars that were coming out, and they never actually came out because they didn't meet U.S. safety standards.
Yeah, and they're supposed to come out with an SUV and a four-door sedan to compete with Porsche, but it's still just rumor.
Which NASCAR team will build a team for the V8 Supercar Championships? Oli.
Well, it's not just a NASCAR team. Team Penske is going to be starting a Australian V8 supercar team with and taking NASCAR driver Marcus Ambrose down there, where he actually won the championship down there in 03 and 04 before driving for Richard Petty Motorsports here in the U.S. So he's going to be going back home. He wants his kids to grow up back there, and he's going to.
That's a good reason to move, the better school systems or whatever you want to move for. Well done. What car makes Chrysler and Honda favorite among buyers? Oh, that must be Brad.
That wasn't my choice of sound. That was nominated by everybody else.
Well, because we couldn't find the sound of a coffin opening.
So these are vehicles that are close to my wife's heart, even though she's much younger. But this is the minivan.
Right, makes Chrysler and Honda favorites.
And so the Honda Odyssey was up 12.9% over the last 8 months. And the Caravan is the #1 seller for Dodge, and the Town and Country. And these are just great vehicles.
So the Caravan's
Versatile.
going away, right?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be the Chrysler Town or the Chrysler minivan. They're getting rid of Dodge. Is just going to be the performance brand. I'd love a performance minivan. That would make every man feel much better about having to drive.
Well,
a
that's why I
minivan.
bought a Pacifica years ago, because it was a crossover vehicle.
It
So
was-
it wasn't a minivan,
Right.
although it's really a minivan.
You tried to save a little bit of your manhood there.
I'm not going to get on board with this performance minivan.
Why?
No.
You wouldn't like a minivan with a big V8 that did 0 to 60 in 2.9?
No, I just rather have a car that was meant to have the V8 in it and not have to drive the minivan.
Yeah, but then
that's
how
just
do you
me.
get your 25 kids in the back? That's how that works.
True.
All right. Next question. What luxury flagship will enter production in 2015?
Cadillac's going to
That
be
was early again.
joining the full-size ranks with their LTS, although that may not end up being the name. But they're going to compete with the 7 Series, the Audi A8, and the BMW S-Class with a new full-size, larger, I guess.
Sedan. Yeah, it's going to be made in Detroit too, right? Or it's going to be made in Detroit, I think.
Yeah, and they're going to be using their new Omega platform that they're coming out with. It's rumored to have the V6 twin turbo, 420 horse is the engine that they're saying that they're going to use with it. But production will start at the end of 15, so I'm sure there's still some room for some changes. But that's the idea right now.
I decided that I do like large sedans. I love the Jaguar XJ. I like big sedans, big luxury sedans.
K900.
Yeah, the K900 definitely. But does that mean I'm getting older?
Oh, you're well past that, Mark.
Really?
How? Yeah, you're
Are
gonna
you
have
going to
to.
ask how old I am?
No, I was going to say you're going to have to live to be about 120 if you're middle-aged at this point.
I just think that I've noticed I used to like little sports cars and rock crawlers and that sort of thing. I start to like big luxury cars, and I just feel like
Well,
maybe
that's what
I'm
I was
getting
thinking about the Lotus. They can get the people into the cars. They just can't get them out.
old. That's why you put Crisco around the seat before you put someone inside the car.
It could just be compensating.
Could be. That's true. You could be compensating.
You never know.
What stocks dropped to almost 2% this week? Oh, Brad again.
Because I am all things Tesla. Tesla's stock did go down, but I think it was more of a market adjustment because it was
You sound
over.
like a financial guy now who's like trying to tell you not to sell your Tesla stock.
But there's talk that 3 Series competitor that they've got coming out could be as much as $50,000, which is going to be way too much for that. But they need $6 billion over the next few years to implement everything that they've got.
Okay, good. Final question this morning. Who showed tech that will allow you to tow your car without using any towing equipment?
There. Is that a better one
Yes,
for
a
me?
better one, yeah.
Okay, that would be Acura. They actually showed off some cool technology where if you're in distress, you can push a button and it sends out a signal to any other car, and they can get behind you and actually tow you without any ropes or anything. The car behind you will mimic what you're doing.
Right. Follow you wherever you go. Very cool piece of technology in case of an emergency situation. You have to remove a car and you only have one capable driver. All right, that's the news quiz for this week. Still to come on the show, we're going to have Steve Ling on the phone. Steve is in charge of marketing for all of the Ford cars. He's going to tell us about the brand new 2015 Mustang. We're expecting Peter Clover in studio to talk more about our Project Discovery, and we're going to talk about getting a backup camera in your car if you don't have one. And we'll have a delicious review of the vehicles that we've been sitting in and trying out all this week. You're listening to Test Miles on FM News 101 KXL. I'm Nick Miles.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
You're listening to Test Miles at TestMiles.com. Recent podcasts are available at TestMiles.com. Just click on the upper right-hand corner that says Radio Podcast. Here's a fun fact for you so you can impress your friends. A car's horsepower does not equal the power of a horse. A single horsepower is equal to 745 watts or 33,000 foot-pounds of torque per minute. A real horse averages around 7 car horsepower.
Is that pony power?
Pony power. A pony would be slightly less than that.
Is that our lead-in?
That's our lead-in because most of us know some history about the Ford Mustang. The first model was 1964 and a half. But here are some facts that you may not know. It was based on the second-generation Ford Falcon. The pony car, the Mustang, inspired the Chevrolet Camaro, the Pontiac Firebird, the Dodge Challenger, and the Toyota Celica. Celebrating 50 years, we've seen the 2015 Ford Mustang for almost a year now. It's been seen on the top of the Empire State Building, and finally, Sean and I got to drive it yesterday in Los Angeles. Joining us live to talk about the 2015 Mustang is the marketing executive responsible for Ford Cars, Steve Ling. Good morning, Steve. Is the 2015 Ford Mustang finally in showrooms?
Not quite, but it's close.
Oh.
You'll see it in the showrooms really next month.
I don't think I can hold my breath anymore. Thank you for inviting us down to Los Angeles yesterday to test drive your new vehicle, and surprisingly, 3 engines in it.
Exactly. We've got we've kept the V6 because we had such great comments about it. We've improved the VP that's in the V8 and the GT. Now 435 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque, and we've added an EcoBoost, a 2.3 liter. That is blowing people's socks off with 310 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque.
What I loved yesterday was I had a conversation. I was in the presentation room, and one of the guys came in from the V8 magazine and said, "I would buy that EcoBoost engine." Which, for a V8 magazine guy to say that is obviously a feather in your cap. So let's talk a little bit about what's new on this vehicle. First of all, you have something called Line Start, which I didn't know about yesterday until we'd finished filming and didn't get to use. But what is Line Start?
Well, Line Lock, what it lets you do is lock the front wheels so you can, let's say, temporarily warm up those rear tires before you head down the drag strip. And, it's a great little feature. It's one of those that, we came up with just talking around the table. And it's great because we utilize, the ABS and the stability control system and all that. So it's an electronic hydraulic system. It works great, and it's a ton of fun.
Could we just call it the burnout button? Wouldn't that make more sense?
Yeah, we'll have to talk to my lawyers about that one. But, yeah, that's right.
All right, new outside for the new Mustang, right? New exterior.
Well, the whole thing actually, from the wheels up, is all new. So, which is what we wanted because, at the end of the day, we wanted to make it lower, wider, and actually give people a little bit more space inside. And it does that pretty much in the same package envelope in terms of width and wheelbase and all that. So it's exactly the way we wanted it.
It does look very impressive, and definitely from the back. I know some people have a hard time getting used to the new look at the back, but for me, that's definitely my favorite part of the car, and especially the turn signals where each light lines up individually across the back.
I agree with you. I mean, that was the one thing, like, going into the event, I said I like everything from the rear tire frontwards, and then as we were following the Mustang, I actually love the back end and how wide it stands.
Now, you've done a great job on redoing the interior. It's plushed up, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, premium materials all the way through. If it looks like aluminum, it is aluminum. But what I love about it as well is the function. So we purposely moved the shifter close to the driver, moved the cup holders out of the way. We gave the instrument panels about 30% smaller. So we put a longer seat track in it. The wheel has great adjustability rate, as well as how it telescopes. So what it's allowing us to do is fit people who are much taller and actually much shorter more comfortably than before. And everybody's feeling that because you do that with all the soft touch materials and all those sorts of things. It looks and feels, but they fit comfortably. And that's the feedback we're getting from people. I'm overjoyed.
And also to keep it younger, you've managed to keep the tech really modern. You've really upped the tech on the inside of the vehicle.
Absolutely. I mean, we've added, kind of the full suite of Ford technologies, but we've gone further, and it's things like tire pressure monitoring at all 4 tires, which, as you both know, is great for the track. Track apps. We started doing that a couple of years ago. We've added even more functionality, so you can keep track of like your best times. So what I like about all the technology is it's really purposeful, and it's not just there to be there. So whether it's collision mitigation, or what have you. It all serves a purpose, and it all has nice hard buttons to use. You don't have to read the manual to use it.
That's a perfect thing for somebody who doesn't want to get into their car too much but wants to benefit from the features. Let's talk about price, my friend. How much is it going to hurt me to get a new Mustang in my garage?
Well, I think that's the best story of all. So the V6 starts at 24.5. So I mean, what a performance value! And then the EcoBoost, 25,995, and then the GT is just under 33,000. So to get all that performance, all of this standard, kit that we were talking about, nothing can touch it.
And there's also the convertible version. Now, is it a soft top convertible?
It is. We've gone with cloth roof on all of them. It goes up and down in half the time. It's padded. It looks great. I've had the number of people I've had who've driven it now said, I forgot that I was even driving a convertible. It's been great, and it's got some really clever things like a single latch that's right in the center of where you attach the roof to the windshield. It's really easy to use, so it's just going to be so much nicer that you can pop it up and down with not much effort.
And the best story for me about this car, my friend, is the fact that it's truly a global car. You'll be making versions with the steering wheel on the right side of the car, and I say that because I'm English and I can say that, for Australia, New Zealand, and England. But the car's also going to be sold in pretty much every continent in the country, right?
Over 160 countries, and believe me, as being the one in the team who we get all the emails from all over the world about why don't you bring it here. It's really exciting time for the whole team because what's great about Mustang is I don't think it's an overstatement. It is an icon worldwide. The number of gray market vehicles, the number of movies and songs in various countries around the world. I mean, this is what you get, I think, for having such a great car that really hit the mark from the first day for 50 years. So exciting times.
Well done, my friend. I think the car looks great, and I absolutely enjoyed the yellow version of the vehicle. One more final question for you. When can I go into a showroom and see these? I presumably I can pre-order them now, but when are they going to be hitting showrooms?
Next month. So we've actually started building them. And believe me, nobody's more excited about this than me because I'm just, as you said, the vehicle's been out there in pictures for a long time, but to finally get in the hands of people so they can drive them and experience what both of you got to experience yesterday, it's not much further now.
We'll have to go to our local Dick's Country Dodge, who have been on the show a couple of times, and Dick's Country Ford to go get a version of the car because my family's been waiting for them. Thank you, sir, for spending your Sunday morning with us. We'll look forward to seeing the Mustang in dealerships soon.
Very good. My pleasure.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Listening to Test Miles and FM News 101. Peter Clover's up next to talk about Project Discovery. Plus, we'll be talking about what we've been driving. And there's a Nissan GTR somewhere in that mix. You're listening to Test Miles on FM News 101 KXL. I'm Nick Miles.
Favorite us, tweet us, friend us, love us, all at testmiles.com.
Sunday morning on FM News 101 KXL. This is Test Miles, a Portland automotive radio show at testmiles.com. Try following us on Facebook as well. Here's a fun fact that you can impress your friends with. A tank full of gas is better for your car. It's true. The modern fuel injection system gets sick if you run low or out of gas. Small particles of rust and dirt are in the bottom of your gas tank, and they will get into that injection fuel system when you run the tank down too much. So treat your car nicely and keep it full of gas. We've been working on our Project Discovery. This is our 2002 Land Rover Discovery. We've been retrofitting it to be like a luxury dog transportation vehicle. It'll be on display at this year's Portland International Auto Show. And in fact, when Sean and I were on our way through Portland International Airport last night, we happened to run in to Jeff Fishback, who is the director of the Portland Auto Show, good friend of ours, with his wonderful wife and son there. And Sean was super tired. He got no sleep the night before. And as we were going downstairs to go get our car, He's like, I was really scared for a second. This guy ran up and hugged me in the middle of the airport. I didn't know who it was. First, it was a random guy hugging Sean.
Well, you could tell he came from like some trip because he's all red and sunburnt and in flip flops.
But he'd been out, I think, playing golf at Gearhart with the auto dealers the week before.
And that's awesome. But it was just like, I'm so exhausted, and the guy in front of me was like doing the whole rocking as I'm trying to work on my laptop, and I was just exhausted. And it was just this big guy comes up in flip flops, and I'm like, who the hell are? Oh, whoops. Who are you?
So anyway, we got to see Jeff Fishback yesterday, and we talked a little bit about Project Discovery. If you're a car guy or gal and you want to be involved in Project Discovery, you can always message us on Facebook. So far, we have had the audio and the interior done, and Peter Clover is here from Mobile West. Peter, finally got it finished, stage 1 of the vehicle. Tell us a little bit about the audio system that you put in the car.
Absolutely. The new audio system is a brand new piece from Audison, crazy Italians who make art. But their new entry-level systems are meant for factory replacement. Drop-in speaker sizes. So we replaced the front components, rear speakers. We created a factory-style subwoofer for the car because it never had one.
Right, so that's in the back door now.
Absolutely.
Looks
Just
really
like
nice, too. You molded that into the back door.
Of course. Well, we did it the way Land Rover did it if you bought the option.
All right.
But then customized it so it looked like all the other modifications we did to the car.
And you put tweeters in there as well now. I got little tweeters in the door.
Absolutely. Put them where they sound best.
Yeah.
And then we also put in one of Audison's, their new AP9 digital amplifier. It's 8 channels, and it's a full DSP system. So it's meant so that you can hook to your factory head unit, but then give 8 channels of amplification, time correction, and equalization to each individual speaker. So you can configure it for...
So it doesn't sound like one of those old concerts where it says, well, the lady with the small child. It doesn't do that. That's what time correction is, right?
It is nothing like that.
Right.
No, it's it allows you to adjust for the different speakers are different distances from your ear in the
Right.
driver's seat. So you can optimize your car audio to be like your home audio.
Right.
Because, audiophiles will take their favorite chair and put it equidistant back and
Equal distance from every
equidistant
system,
from
in
each
the middle of every speaker.
Put it exactly in the right spot. Put the bar table right next to it. Have their entertainment and make the audio perfect.
Right.
Well, that allows you to tune your car and tune your audio system to be perfect.
So it sounds so that every speaker is the right distance
Absolutely.
from the unit itself.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you've been driving to it and listening to it.
Oh yeah, I was just complaining
And-
about how much gas I had to put in the car now because I'm driving it all the time.
Well, a good audio system will make you drive a lot more than you thought you were.
And then powered off of an iPad Mini, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we molded an iPad Mini. We created a custom mount on the dashboard
Right.
that actually looks like a late model navigation screen that motorizes up out of the dash.
I go to the gas station at the corner of King and Linwood in Milwaukee because it's the cheapest gas in the area. And as they're filling the gas, the kid's like, I've never seen a Land Rover with that option in before. And I said, and you never will, my friend.
That's right. You have to have somebody fill your gas up in Oregon.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah,
See,
you-
up in the Couve, we can do that ourselves.
Yeah, well, we're all snobs down here. We have someone do it for us.
That's right. We don't smell like gas on the way to work.
Oh, burn, Brad Boyer.
That was with a G, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But no, that's exactly the case. People looking at the car say, I've never seen one with that option. Well, yes, we can
And
make
you-
things
so you made
to
it-
look.
You made a housing for it that sits on the dash.
Absolutely.
And it looks like it's part of the car. It's done really nicely.
Well, that's the whole point.
Absolutely. And then
Lots
and then
of people will make things that kind of work.
Yeah, no, I don't
Not
want
that
something
guy.
that sticks onto the windshield with suction cups. I wanted something that looks like it's part of the car. You also redid the upholstery. Tell me a little bit about what you did, or tell the listener. Obviously, I know because I've been sitting in it for the last week or two.
Absolutely. Well, we started off making, updating the look and feel of the car, making it more a luxurious, high-end car than, a 2002 Range Rover's a $5,000 used car.
Right, right. So it has nice fluffy black carpets in the front.
Absolutely. So the front half of the car is all using black Mercedes carpet.
Right.
Made also custom floor mats,
Excellent.
and and then over covers there out of rubber as well, so that you can use it in the summertime in Oregon, and you can use it in the wintertime
Yeah,
in
no,
Oregon.
perfect. Flip it over. And then the seats, you took our Test Miles logo and modeled it into the seats, didn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the seats are done in black carbon fiber and black Alcantara suede. And then we embroidered the Test Miles logo into the rear seat backs. And then we also inset a series of racing stripes in the Alcantara to match the exact colors of the Test Miles logo.
And then finally in the very back, you made it very dog worthy, and you also dyed some of the plastic, didn't you?
Well, of course, because if you're going to make it fantastic, just make it fantastic. It's not a second guess it.
Right.
Right. So the whole back half of the car is a custom-made floor mat that's actually sound deadening material as well as rubberized textured, so that dogs are non-slip, and you can also pop the whole rear floor mat out, hose it off.
Yeah, that's the best part of it now too, because when I take Sean anywhere in the car, I can just hose the back off when
Perfect.
I'm finished with it, taking him somewhere. And then you dyed the plastic in the back, put a new headliner in, and you put boots around like the 4-wheel drive unit and the shifter as well.
Of course, because if you're making a beautiful custom project, the details are what stand it out from being average. And
So one of the other things we want to talk to you about is when I was in your shop last time, there was a guy coming in asking about backup cameras, and I kind of knew that you could have them installed aftermarket, but backup cameras, they seem to be big business now, since people like Honda will not be making any cars without backup cameras. I saw this guy come in with a Mercedes ML that wanted a backup camera put in that didn't have one from the factory. So everybody wants one in their vehicle now, and you do those installations, don't you?
Oh, do them all the time. And they're two different paths. A lot of more modern vehicles have video screens in the dash or touchscreen audio systems. So they're video interfaces that we can add to have that come up on the factory screen.
Right.
So those are vehicle-specific solutions that we order specific to your car. Older cars that don't have video screens, you can either replace the radio in the dash for a modern 2014 audio system
Right.
that has smartphone integration and all of the latest tech, but it's set up for a backup camera. So
Right.
you throw it in reverse and it comes right up on the screen of your new radio. Or some cars, some people don't want the modern technology and better sound. So there are like replacement rear view mirrors that have factory fit and finish mirrors, high quality versions, not the ones you see on eBay, because those are awful.
Right.
But high quality factory fit and finish replacement mirrors that have like 4.5-inch video screens.
But it's hidden when it's not on, right? You
It's
can't see
hidden
it.
when it's
Yeah,
not
I love
on.
That. Just like those ones, the TVs in hotels now, it's behind the bathroom mirror. You turn it on and you get a TV in your bathroom. I love that. It's just the cameras behind the bathroom mirror that I don't like that part, but the TV behind it. That's also what. Let's talk about price.
Yeah, absolutely. Depending upon the vehicle and what you have, solutions start out at about $400, including the labor to do it, on up. Yeah, we just did a 2010 S-Class. We put a factory fit and finish backup camera onto the factory nav screen, because that has a car that you can't replace the audio in it.
Right.
We did, super high-res backup camera, factory screen. We also added iPod and digital media interface with music and also video to the factory screen at the same time. Well, it's a S-Class Mercedes. Yes, it was a $1,200 package.
That's not
But-
bad though for all that extra stuff. I mean,
Oh,
you don't have to go and
absolutely.
buy a new car, right? That's just basically 2 car payments for you.
Oh, absolutely. And the gentleman was so ecstatic when we were done. And the fit and finish and the resolution of what we did on that car, he's like, well, I'm in love with my car again. Like, I'm not going to go trade it in anymore. You
No,
gave me
that's
all the
exactly
tech.
what this does for me. Is why trade your car in when you can do a lot of these upgrades?
Well, and people are keeping their vehicles longer. I mean, we're 9 years old.
12
so-
trucks for 12 years, I think now people keeping them. so
And
you
one
can
thing
always-
too, we've used Peter quite a bit at Lucky Limousine, so he can do buses and limos. I mean, he can do big industrial products as well.
He's going to do my house soon. Peter, tell me where people can find Mobile West.
Just either check us out on the web, mobilewestpdx.com, or stop on by the shop. We're currently at 140 Northeast Broadway. We're kind of kitty corner from Broadway Kia and Broadway Toyota.
And come in and listen to the audio because it's awesome.
Is that
I
a
say
sneak
that every
peek?
time.
He's currently at that location.
Well,
is that news?
maybe because he's growing so big and everybody is in love with, even including Jaguar, having their cars done down there. All right, Peter, thanks for coming in this morning. Hang around. We're going to talk about what cars we've been driving. You're listening to FM News 101 KXL. This is Test Miles. We have more stuff, including our test drive, the Nissan GTR, coming up. I'm Nick Miles.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
You're enjoying your Sunday morning listening to Test Miles, and we're on Facebook at Test Miles. That's the name of the show. That's the name of the Facebook page. Here's a fun fact you can impress your friends with. Future cars will need their own licenses. Self-driving cars will need to be licensed. Nevada was the first state in the U.S. to authorize self-driving cars for their state and their roads, and they'll issue autonomous vehicle licenses. So not only will you need a license for yourself to drive, but you'll need a license for your vehicle as well.
I don't even get why.
Because
Explain
the
that to
government
me.
want more money from
Yeah.
you.
Okay,
And you
there we
should
go.
Just
Sorry.
be quiet, settle
Sorry,
down, and
sorry,
pay
sorry.
it.
Yeah.
Not be an anarchist, hater, rebel person.
So does it have to take like a driving test on its own?
I don't know
Pep
what
talk
the...
it, you practice, yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I don't know.
Read this manual, take a written test, and then go drive with some guy.
If it
Show me
fails,
what
you emotionally have to be there for it and be like, you're going to get it next time.
You got
do it.
Don't worry, you have
Little
3
guy.
kids. You have to go through that quite a bit. Not for a few years
In a
yet,
bit.
but you'll have
In
to
a
go
bit.
through that too. All right, we'll talk about what vehicles we've been driving this week. I have been driving the Nissan GTR. Sean has been in the MX-5. And Oli, we're going to start something new this week as well. We asked Oli because he's the Viking Volvo seller, the Viking Volvo seller, that we wanted you to come up with what you thought was one of the best deals of the week for cars. So if someone's looking to go out and buy a vehicle, you could tell them. So we'll save it because we'll do that right at the end of the show. Let's get through this really quickly. The Nissan GTR has already been really firmly put on the world stage as the world supercar. It's an affordable, exotic car that makes a statement. Really, a real supercar with a V6 engine in it. I think the good parts are great acceleration, 2.9 seconds, 0 to 60, very high handling limits, easy to drive, high quality, and livable interior. The bad parts, the ride is rough. My rump did not like this week, got tossed around quite a lot and not quite bruised, but it's a rough ride, a lot of fun. V6 engine, as I said, 545 horsepower, auto or manual transmission, all-wheel drive, 16 city, 23 on the highway. It comes in 3 different versions, the black, the Nismo, and the standard. I had the black version. Track apps are the tech inside, which is really cool. Its driving impressions, rough but fast. Asking price is about MSRP is officially $113,000. I have seen them for sale for considerably less than that for the black version, probably somewhere around $106,000 that you could actually pay for this vehicle. Score 9 out of 10. Sean.
I had the 2014 Mazda MX-5, Miata if you're an old school person, but the hardtop version
Like
of
Brad.
it. Hey, I still call it a Miata too. That's what it is.
Like you and Brad.
Yeah. Miata actually came back out or was first seen in like 89 at a starting tag of $14,000. This one was a little over $30,000, but it's an awesome vehicle. It's fun to drive. It's one of those little cars you can go out and actually have fun and not worry about getting in a wreck.
You had it in the sun. I had it when it poured down rain all week.
Yeah, and that's my one dislike about it is I had to drive it twice with the top up, and I feel really claustrophobic in there. And I don't know how Brad even drove that thing with the top on, because Brad is probably like 4 inches taller than me. So I don't know how you fit in it, but good luck.
Brad's a manly man. He might be old, but he's a manly man.
Absolutely.
Yoga, it was all squeezed up in there.
We're actually all 4 of us are like the cell phone bars from AT&T. So it's Brad, Oli, Sean, and then me. So we're, because I'm only 5'4". But you know something I worked out this week? Shorter people make better race car drivers because the distance between our brain and our legs is a shorter distance, and we can react much faster.
Not true.
Don't
But
think
anyways.
it is true.
I don't think that's it.
All
No.
race car drivers who are F1 are 5'4", the same height
That's
as me.
because you can't fit in a car.
I'm turning his mic off. This is how you do it. When you have a hard time, you just turn Sean's mic. No one can hear you, Sean. Turn your mic. All right, so the Mazda Miata, how much is it?
Little over $30,000.
Little over $30,000.
Yeah, a little over $30,000. You can get the soft top for
Only
$23,000.
go with your car of the week.
So the deal of the week, we're going to go to different places. I'm going to start with just a couple that I have. 2013 XC60 T6, 11,000 miles, $1,000 off for $33,500. You can choose from either a Caspian Blue or a Flamenco Red, whichever one goes first.
Excellent. And how do they find you?
You can go to www.dlrnordic.com.
Nobody says www anymore. This is not 1994. Really.
Even I don't.
So I just say go to DLR Nordic.
You got it. You're listening to Test Miles. We'll be back next Sunday. Thanks for being here. TestMiles.com or find us on Facebook. And you are the best audience ever. Thanks for making our ratings so high that we are the #1 auto show in the region. I'm Nick Miles.
Throw it in neutral and coast in with TestMiles.com.